I'm here today to tell you a story about a man that lived a long time ago, that he wanted to be an artist, but more than that, he felt like it was his calling to be an artist. Now, this man was an American. He lived in Massachusetts, but an area where he lived was there was no real school that was proper to get the kind of training he wanted to become a landscape painter. And that's what he wanted to be, a landscape painter. The best school at the time that he was living was the Dusseldorf School in Dusseldorf, Germany. And the schools back then, they weren't exactly like schools like you think of today with a big building and a lot of classrooms and teachers and all that sort of thing. The Dusseldorf School consisted of a number of private studios, and an artist, if he wanted to become an artist, would take an apprenticeship if he could find one, and he would learn from one particular master or somebody that had some sort of reputation as an artist. It was a loose association of apprenticeships and studios under established masters. Now, my friend that I'm telling you about, he had two friends who were already making a dent in their career as artists. And they were already in Germany, and they were studying under a headmaster by the name of Johann Peter Hassenklever. Their names were Emanuel Lutz and Worthington Whitridge. Now the history books are going to tell you that Master Hassenklever died just before my friend, the wannabe artist, arrived in Germany. And, that is more or less true. He died in about that same time period. But it's not the real true story about my friend that wanted to be an artist. And the story that I'm about to tell you was retold by Worthington Whitridge, his good friend that was also in Germany. Now, Whitridge and Lutze, when they saw his portfolio, and that's how a wannabe artist was accepted to a particular studio or accepted into an apprenticeship, is that they would show their portfolio, and then from that portfolio they would be accepted, their work would be judged as, this guy's a serious artist, and because he has certain accomplishments so far, I'll take him on as an apprentice, and he can be able to study under me. Well, when Emanuel Lutz and Worthington Whitridge saw the absolutely abysmally poor quality of my friend's work, they told him, sorry, the school is closed, and Master Hassenklever is not taking on any more students. Now that was a little bit of a stretch because the school was not closed. But they knew that if Hassenklever saw the portfolio that he had with him, that he was facing absolutely certain rejection. And the embarrassments go with it, the loss of all that he had hoped for in a trip to Germany and the whole thing. So they just simply told him that there was no more room at the inn, so to speak. Now, I'm going to take a little quick break here, and I'm going to show you just a few examples of the early drawings and one painting that my friend the artist wanted to submit to Master Hassenklever in order to get into school. Let's roll the clip. There are very few prodigies in the art business. there are very few artists that have a natural talent that they can just do anything and just make it all work. There are a few that have been like that throughout art history, but most have not been. Anyway, my friend, when he learned about the school or thought the school was closed, he went out on his own. And for the next 4 years, he struck out to learn from his friends Emanuel Lutz and Worthington Whitridge and others along the way, but he was generally a self-taught artist. Now, if you'll bear me for 1 minute longer, I'll show you just a few examples of my friend's work, the one that was rejected. I'm going to roll the clip. Now, in case you don't recognize any of this work, this was the beginning of the artist Albert Bierstadt. Bierstadt today is considered arguably the best landscape painter that America has ever produced. And there's 2 lessons that can be learned from this little story. The first lesson is for artists, and the second lesson is for collectors or investors. For artists, if you feel like you have been called, genuinely called to be an artist, don't ever let anyone tell you that you don't have what it takes to become an artist. I've been in business for 56 years, and in that time I have looked at thousands of artists' work, and trust me, not once have I ever told anyone that they did not have what it takes to succeed as an artist. Now, what about collectors or investors? There's one thing you have to bear in mind, that all artists, in fact every artist, whether it's Rembrandt or Picasso or everybody in between, all of them were at one time, quote, just local artists. Rembrandt was a local artist in Holland. Picasso was just a local artist in Spain. But the point is, somebody saw something in the work of both Rembrandt and Picasso that gave them pleasure in that artist's work. And so they bought the artist's work. The point is, if you find somebody's work that gives you pleasure, it doesn't matter whether they're well known or not. Support the artists who are struggling to achieve a vision for their life. Who knows? That artist you buy today at what amounts to a flea market, a sidewalk art show, or whatever, the one who is, quote, just a local artist, he just might turn out to be the next Rembrandt or Picasso. You don't know. Mainly because, I'm not saying you don't know who the person is, you don't know what's inside the person. What it is that driving him to discover who he is and how it is that he might make his own dent in the world as a creative artist. All artists struggle at one time or another. So they struggle to achieve their vision. They struggle technically to try to figure out how to do whatever it is they got going on inside their brain. Or to achieve their calling. They feel that they've been called to be an artist, but they're struggling to understand that calling or to achieve that calling. Other artists, they're struggling just to achieve the electric bill. And believe me, I have been to all three of these places that I just described. I can tell you honestly that there have been many seasons in my life when I struggled both artistically and financially. But one thing I never doubted, not even once, that my calling was in the art business, both as a creator and as a business person. I had to learn to do both in order to make a career at being an artist. Now, in future videos, I will address the business side of being an artist with some wild and woolly stories of the adventures that we have been on for the last 56 years. And the best thing about it is that this story isn't over yet. All I can do is invite you to come along with me as I relive some of these adventures and tell you more stories. And I'll promise you one thing. Every story I tell you will be a true story. And I will keep the exaggerations to a bare minimum. Until then, stay tuned, stay well, and as always, stay alert for that moment or opportunity that could change your life forever. We'll catch you on the next one. Until then, thank you for watching.